Mm. Mm. Oh, somebody's with me. Hi.
Yeah, hi, I'm Nicole.
Hi, Nicole.
That link worked. That link seemed to be like the good way to do it.
Okay, the second one that I sent.
Yeah,
Okay.
I never got the first invite, but for the
I
last
sent.
couple weeks, I've been having trouble getting Google Hangout invites to work.
Okay. Well, the other I sent you at least 2 invites. Maybe you'll get them tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't know. The last link, though, that's what was able to get me through here. So,
Okay. Well, I sent it to everybody, so hopefully.
yeah.
Um, well, you're Danielle.
Nicole.
You're Nicole.
Yeah.
Okay, Lauren Drake says she was still looking for it. Hopefully she'll okay. She's saying that I haven't heard from everybody, so I don't know if
Yeah.
okay, it looks like Dan. Oh, that's you. The hardest part, I think, is going to be getting together. So,
It'd be too hard. Usually Hangouts isn't that complicated to use.
shouldn't be that be that big of a problem. So, how much were you able to read through the work for this week?
I read through most. I think I read through all of it.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a lot of repetitive reading. Then you
Yeah.
wonder, did I read this?
Yeah.
Okay, so Lauren says she can't do video chat right now. I don't know what that means.
There's Danielle got on.
Yeah, and Danielle says, I got your invite. Is she coming in? Oh, good. Hi, can you hear us? We can see you. Okay, you need to click on your mic. You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
We can see you, Nicole, but we can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
No, you're Nicole. Okay.
Yeah.
Danielle, we can't hear Danielle. If this is a lot of a hassle, we could talk to our teacher about using the Adobe Connect. That's also worked pretty well.
I wonder if you can't use those headphones if the headphones don't have a microphone in them.
Oh, yeah. Unplug it from your computer. Unplug it from your computer. Your headphones. Oh, yay! We're all here. We can all get to where we can hear each other. So, Lauren, you're the one that just joined us, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and Nicole, you were the first one that joined me.
Yep.
Okay, it looks like Danielle's going to try again because she was here, but we couldn't hear her.
Oh, okay.
She's trying to come back in.
So how are you guys?
Good.
Good.
Trying
So
to
are we,
figure out exactly what we're doing here.
yeah, I'm still kind of confused on everything we're supposed to do, but I'm sure we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, see, the instructor sent that email earlier this week. Did you guys read that about questions people usually ask?
Yeah, I
Oh,
read through that. Yeah.
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 So, did any of you do any mind mapping? I think that was like the first thing that we're supposed to do.
Kind of. So I think we need to go over like exactly what we want to do because um last time we talked about it, we kind of talked about like doing obesity or malnutrition or something like that, but not all of us were in the group talking about it. So is that something you guys still want to do or
Well, I think what we need to do first, though, is if you look at the steps that we're supposed to go through, step one is the concept of mind mapping. So at
Mhm.
that point, we don't necessarily have to have narrowed down what we're going to do.
Right.
That's like we might end up going that way, but first we have to do the steps. And the first step was mind mapping. When I put children in the middle of my mind map, I had obesity as one of them, but then I also had congenital issues, problems that children are born with, allergies and asthma, communicable diseases, ADHD, and learning disabilities. Then I had abuse and dysfunctional families and safety. So there are all of these different things I put around it and then looked for things that were causes, like obesity can be genetics, poor diet, lack of exercise. So they want you to, in our mapping, we're supposed to then list the things that cause that issue.
Okay.
Okay? So for the first step, step one, we're supposed to just do mind mapping. Maybe you guys have more ideas. I was just really struggling to come up with very many ideas.
Yeah. Um Yeah, I mean, like, I didn't really understand the whole mind mapping thing, so I didn't really
Yeah.
do any.
So does that make sense to you now?
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and it sounds like you came up with a lot of good ideas from that.
Are we just supposed to type? Do you think we're just supposed to type these things that we come up with in this document?
Well, okay, so step one, brainstorm and establish a target population, which we already know what it is, and then a setting. And, we could, as we go through this, the setting could be school or home or the community in general.
Mm-hmm.
Develop a mind map by placing a desired target population and then map the specific issues. And then those specific issues need to be broken down into actual causes. And that's kind of what I was talking about with the obesity.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's genetics, sometimes it's poor diet or lack of exercise. Those were some of the things, you know. Like communicable diseases, poor hygiene, and not getting your vaccinations, and so those are things that are specific variables that are actual causes or lead to the disease. Then it says, show your work. You will likely make multiple mind maps. Make sure you keep each one and place this in this step of needs assessment. So I don't know where we put it, but I think we each need to have kind of worked up a little bit of a mind. So that, we know our population are children, but it can be, a variety of different things that we could consider. Make sense?
Yeah, that
Okay.
makes sense. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up the document. Um, and also in the email, I think our teacher sent us an email, but they said to like choosing a specific state will help us find like stats reports on
Right.
information. So I think we should try to choose a state.
So where do you guys live?
I'm in Rexburg right now.
Okay.
I'm from Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah.
I live
And
in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
so we're kind of spread all over the place. um, and I'm not sure where. Like, I'm trying to remember what the other gal's name is.
Danielle.
Danielle. Okay, so Lauren and Nicole are here, and Danielle. Takes me a while
Danielle
to get.
emailed and said it's not working for her
Okay.
video.
Ask her where she lives. Yeah, she gets in, but she can't get the uh,
Okay.
but I think you're right. I'd spend a little bit of time. I'm living in Utah right now, and I did look at some statistics for Utah, but they were until we narrowed down exactly what we're looking for. You know, it had birth and death records, but didn't really tie into any of the subjects I had come up with for my
Yeah.
mind mapping. But I did look through there. I actually found more interesting things on the CDC's. She gave us that place to look for reports from the CDC, and I did find a few more things in there that
Oh,
were
okay.
helpful. So,
Um, maybe what we all could do is like look at that and look at different states, and that
okay.
will help us decide what we want to do. I mean, if you guys are fine with that, but
Yeah, I have no problem. Do you care where we
I
um
I don't care at all.
I guess I don't mind. I don't care.
Yeah, I think that we can get records for anywhere on the internet. So what part of Chicago are you from?
I live in the southwest suburbs,
Okay.
in Naperville, if you know where that's at.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I was there many years ago.
Oh, really?
My sister lives up in Crystal Lake. Crystal Lake. I think it's up north of Chicago.
Okay.
One of
I
those
I
places.
grew up in Colorado, and my parents actually moved to Chicago like 3 years ago.
Okay.
I'm not really familiar with the area, but yeah, they like it. They like it there.
Yeah. It gets cold there.
Yeah, it's really cool there.
Uh, okay, so um, maybe I'm having a hard time figuring out how much we're supposed to do together and how much we're supposed to do
I know. I'm
on our
confused.
own. Um, so after we've done the mind mapping, and we could use some of my ideas if you want, that's fine. Step 2 says, here you're supposed to establish a goal or a purpose of your needs assessment. This isn't our goal of our project. This is the purpose of our needs assessment and what you hope to gain from it. Answer the following questions to establish the focus of your research and not just collect data on vague topics. This step will help you to narrow your research topics down to specific questions. So the question number 1, what is the purpose of your needs assessment? Not the program. What do you want to accomplish by doing your needs assessment? And then a hint. The purpose should be on finding specific needs in a setting with a target population. So what should we say is our purpose of our needs assessment?
Well, I think we've covered the major like avenues we could go down. We're going to go down obesity, nutrition, those kind of things. We just want to do more like mental illness, ADHD, maybe too much screen time, that kind of avenue. Because I think once we decide that, then we can decide is the purpose to determine if more education is needed in school or if it's just, determine blah, blah, blah. I think we have to kind of have a direction before we determine a purpose, right?
Yeah. Well, the purpose of our program or project comes a little bit later. That's when we'll do some of the things you talked about. But if you think about it, our needs assessment purpose is maybe to determine which area of health concerns is most needed and most something we can have the greatest impact in.
Yeah,
Something
I
like
agree.
that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we could say to determine what health concerns for children are of highest priority. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So do we just want to do Utah then?
I'm fine with that unless you...
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Okay, are of highest priority and what's the right wording? And within our range of making a difference.
I think that sounds good.
Okay, so that's our purpose of our needs assessment, just the needs assessment part. Okay, good. So then the next question is, list what you specifically want to find out through this needs assessment from your mind maps. Develop a list of specific research questions. This should include questions about the target population, setting, and health issues. Focus your research on answering questions, not just random searching of vague topics, like I did today.
Well, wouldn't it just be pretty much the same thing, just trying to find out, like, what's the biggest health concern of children in Utah?
Well, okay, so here's an example they give. Is youth suicide a changeable problem in Seattle, Washington area?
Oh, okay.
Okay, so some questions that we might ask that pertain to what we've been researching is we could kind of ask maybe a question. Let's pick just 3 subjects that we might consider in our research.
Okay.
Does that sound okay? One of them could be about obesity. What other 2 can we just add as into our needs assessment?
I think we could do something like something along the lines of how does the amount of screen time children have affect their what do I want to say? I don't know if I want to say affect their
Like physical activity?
school, but maybe like their mental well-being kind of thing.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
like socializing, all those things in general.
I like that.
Okay, so maybe let's not get into the screen stuff yet, because that would be one of the specific causal things. But maybe
We want to do like learning disabilities because that could go along with learning disabilities.
So we could do something along the idea of learning disabilities. That was one of the things that I had listed.
Okay.
So learning disabilities, and those can be, if you think about it.
What are the contributing factors to learning disabilities?
Yeah, because they can be lifestyle, like you mentioned, with too much entertainment, computer stuff. It can be genetics, where you're born with just some disabilities. ADHD would fall in that one, I think. And lack of home support, um, lack of opportunities. Many young people live in areas where their schools aren't very good and they don't have many opportunities. So, okay, so, and then let's pick one more. There's safety, there's asthma, because asthma is a big thing, allergies and asthma, dysfunctional families and abuse.
I think allergies and asthma would be a good one to do.
Okay.
So we have obesity, learning disabilities, and then allergies
and asthma. So then we would ask question. We need to ask a question for each one of these. Like this one, is youth suicide a changeable problem in Seattle, Washington area? Or what is causing the, and then the other question was, what is causing the infant mortality rates to rise in Peru? So we could ask a question about obesity. Help me come up with a question about each of these three areas.
Could it be as simple as, are obesity rates in children rising in Utah? Like, just find out if that really is a concern.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So are children rates of obesity rising in Utah?
So I'm kind of typing this stuff in this shared document that we have.
Okay. Oh. Yeah, I'm writing it down with notes. So, okay. So then a question for learning disabilities. We could follow kind of the idea of the first example and say,
like, are the contributing factors to children being diagnosed with learning disabilities within the realm of our influence, or like, are they influenced?
Right. Yeah. Something that like they say, is youth suicide a changeable problem? You know, so is learning disabilities a changeable problem in Utah that we can, you know, something like that.
Yeah, that works. I also like that question you had earlier about the screen time, how that can affect their socialization and all of that. So that could be a question that we have for that one.
So could we broaden the learning disabilities to just like mental illness? Because learning disability is is that a type of mental illness? I can't remember.
Well,
because then we could incorporate depression or anxiety or...
That's true.
Well, see, I think learning disabilities, that's why I was saying a little bit ago that learning disability can be caused by genetics. It can be caused by a congenital birth problem. It can be caused by a family, you know, lack of family support or opportunity, or children just being allowed to just waste their time so that they aren't focused, you know.
So you're thinking if we research that one further, then we would eventually incorporate the use of screen time into one of the contributing factors?
Yeah, well, we would show if it was.
Yeah.
You know, we would show if that was a reasonable cause that we would want to address in our programming, or is there, you know, is there other issues that would be more important? So
yeah.
Screen time thing would be one of the problems, one of the possible causes, but not necessarily the only one, and we would have to determine if that would be an important one to address with the program.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
So what was the third thing going to be? There's the learning disabilities, childhood obesity.
And then allergies.
And allergies and asthma.
Okay.
So, we could ask a question like, are there environmental causes that are having a negative impact on the amount of asthma and allergies among children? Something like that.
So are environmental factors contributing to the rise of allergies in children?
Yeah, yeah.
That's actually a pretty good one too, just because Utah has like the smog and in the winter, like around this time, isn't it, where like they can't even let the kids go outside for recess because the air is so bad.
Well, actually, and also they have, my sister knows what it's called. There's a, it's the air gets trapped in the valley.
Yeah.
To go up to the Huntsman Cancer Center, which is up on the top of the mountain above Salt Lake. And when we get up there and we look down, you see this, it almost looks like a blanket. This thick, mucky looking air. And it's like, that's what we breathe. So it can get pretty bad in the winter where it's the cold air traps it in here. So, we could investigate that, are the environmental factors like the inversion, that's what it's called, inversion layer, causing an increase in the amount of allergies and asthma that are affecting children, something like that.
Yeah.
But,
well, we can let's leave it more general and just say the environmental factors for now, and then kind of like the learning disabilities, we can expound upon it once we find out what the factors are.
So I guess what the purpose of these questions are, like they said, is when we go do our research, these questions should help us focus our research on specific things rather than just randomly searching on a topic of asthma. We can search on environmental elements or something. So and then the third question, and maybe you understand this a little better than I do, it says, what level of prevention are you going to focus on with your research? What level of prevention? Primary, secondary, or tertiary?
Well, that was the stuff we learned about, like primary prevention is things like educating people and things like that so they never even get to having the problem.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Secondary prevention was like, what was that one, where the person has the problem but you catch it early enough where they're not really suffering from it.
Okay.
And tertiary is like
full blown.
And they're suffering from it, so what are you going to do to kind of like therapy, help them recuperate through it?
Yeah. So, what do you guys think about that one?
I think it kind of depends on which one we want to go with.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say?
In general, probably, I don't know, like learning disabilities, primary, like help educate people on what's contributing.
Yeah. Honestly, we could do any one of them, primary, secondary, tertiary, like depending on whether we want to like educate people before it happens or if we want to help people while they're going through it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It just kind of like depends on what we want to do.
Yeah.
I think it would probably be easier to create a program that was either primary or secondary. Tertiary, they're pretty much under the care of a physician. that's just trying to help them deal with it and get through life and see if they can heal or just have to learn to live with it on a long-term basis. So
I'm kind of thinking just like with what our limited scope of what we know is, maybe we should say we're going to try and focus on primary, just more of the educating, helping people try and avoid the situation.
I think
okay.
that's good.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's a good point. Okay. Okay, so then step 3, take the questions from step 2 and start collecting secondary data to establish a target population setting and health issues. Make sure your research is supporting needs assessment purpose. Okay.
So, do we kind of want to do this on our own and then meet again and like discuss what we found?
I think that we're going to have to meet one more time this week.
Yeah.
Start collecting data generally, so that's the statistics, and then narrow it down to specific setting. Try to stick with current data, she says, within the last 5 years. So the things that I did some research today, and I just went through different topics that were on my map, and most of them were within the last 10 years.
Well, that's pretty recent.
Anyway, so that was a start, but you know, I'm kind of feeling like we each need to collect some data and maybe email it to each other so we can kind of review what we have and pick out the ones that are going to be helpful for our topics. And then do we want to try to meet again Thursday evening?
Thursday works for me.
Yeah, that should work for me.
Okay. Is 8 o'clock still the best time?
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
Okay, so we're just gonna...
Okay, so if you look at step number 3, see what you can, there's 2 different kinds. There's the secondary data and then some primary data. We should each try to, oh, I don't know if we'll get to primary. Will we get to primary?
Well, I mean, I guess you'd have to live in Utah to really gather primary data because I can't really ask my kids questions because they're in Minnesota. They don't know anything about Utah.
Okay, so we should at least work on the secondary data.
Okay.
Looking at for articles through the BYU Idaho Library, state or local web pages, research universities and news articles, and government and non-government agencies. So focus on that.
So the first one?
Yeah, well, we should do the primary. I don't know how they expect us to, in 1 week, to do that and then do the primary collection as well.
It says the primary collection is optional.
Yeah, so we're not going to worry about that this time. So then when we get together on Thursday night, we should have enough information collected that we can do step 4, and that's as far as we have to go this week.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
So do you think we need to have a mind map like that we can attach here in this document, like each one of us make a mind map, or you think we're kind of beyond that point? There's some stuff typed in the document that you guys met when you guys met last week.
Yeah. Well, if you look on that document, there's actually a mind map there for an example. Mine's not pretty like that. It's all this color coding and pictures. Mine were circles and squares.
Yeah.
I think we're kind of past it. I don't think it really matters because we kind of know what we want to do. Unless, like, our professor wants us to attach it, then we can make one and attach it. But I think right now, I think it's fine.
Well, and what I can do is I can kind of make this into something a little nicer, and then I can highlight the 3 areas that we chose to pursue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Can you scan that, James, so we can, because it says make sure you keep each one and place it in this step of the needs assessment.
Yeah. So I will, like I said, I will draw it up nicer.
Okay.
So you can actually read it. And then what I'm going to try to do is, and we should all do this, anything that we research the next 2 days, we can send things to each other. We can review them ahead of time.
Right.
And then on Thursday we can try to narrow it down to, or we can do the fourth level of evaluating what we have, determining which, you know. My impression is that you guys have an idea of wanting to pursue eventually something in the area of child obesity. Is that
Yeah.
what you mean?
I think like depending on what data we collect, like whatever we find more of or whatever would be easiest, then we could choose out of those three if that works for you
Okay.
guys, or if there's a specific one you want to do.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell because if it was just a broad, like, nationwide, what influences learning disabilities, we might be like, or that even the asthma, we could probably find a lot, but it's hard to say how much we'll be able to find specifically about Utah.
Right.
I feel like just off the top of my head, obesity is probably the most likely one we're going to find the most information on, but I think we kind of just have to check it out and see before we really decide.
Okay. That's
So
fine.
we can just research all three and then email each other what we find, and then next time we meet together, we can choose one for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that, because see, that's if you look at it, that's the fourth step. After we have done that, then you analyze the data and identify the risk factors, and then we use from the proceed step 3, where we prioritize. So then we can use that information to prioritize, and it'll start us leading towards what we want to do. I don't think we even have to choose. Oh, yeah. Actually, the last step is identify our target, which we know, the setting, which we can determine if Utah is the best place, and then the health issue that we're going to work on.
Okay.
So,
Well, perfect. Sounds good.
well, good. So I'm wondering, should we contact the teacher and see if we can try Adobe Connect?
Yeah, I think because that's easier for everyone to meet, I think, at least.
Well, I would like to make sure that we can include, who did we miss?
Danielle.
Danielle, okay. Yeah. So we can let Danielle know that we're gonna, what we need to do. Do one of you girls want to let her know what we're doing, and that we're gonna, so she knows what to follow through on?
Yeah, I can email her after we get done.
Okay. Tell her a few of the things we talked about, and that what kind of things she can be doing as far as the research goes, and then we're going to meet Thursday.
Okay.
Okay, and then we're going to try to get onto Adobe Connect. So,
Okay. Sounds good.
okay. So, do you want me to write to the teacher and ask about getting with the?
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
I'll write to her and see what she says. See if she's willing to, because I think she has to open up for us at 8 o'clock. I don't know. So,
I'm not sure. In past classes, I thought it was just like open all the time. You could get whenever you want. But yeah, maybe send her an email and just ask her how we could do that.
yeah, I will. I know for one of my other classes she had to actually open it, so I don't know.
Okay.
But I will send her an email and ask her tell her we're having a hard time with getting the Google Connect to work for all of us. So, okay.
Okay.
Great. Well, so we'll hear from you in between, and then we'll see you on Thursday. at
Okay.
8.
Sounds good. Bye, guys.
Okay. Bye.